Good afternoon, everyone. Smita, is it 3:30? My laptop says 26 and my mobile says 3:30. Is it 3:30?
Yes, ma'am. 3:30. Yes.
Okay, okay. So I think we'll start the session because we said 3:30 and we will keep the time in all our sessions. So good afternoon, everyone who has joined us this afternoon on a Sunday afternoon because you wanted a session on how to deal with your AI classes for classes 6 to 12. Now, before we start the session, I have a few requests to make. Please keep your mic on mute while the session is on. Use chat box for all forms of communication. Remember that this is just an introductory session. That is, we are not going to go in details about the content that needs to be taken in different classes, but we would be talking about the methodology and how you can start taking your AI classes for classes 6 to 11. We also have a session planned for 20 minutes specifically for grade 11. And as you can see, that would be taken by our resource person, Smita R. Atreya. She is an AIEF resource person and she is from Delhi Public School, Rourkela, and she's a very, very integral part of AI teacher community. Welcome, Smita.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shibi, ma'am, for inviting me. And most importantly, we are doing this session together. It was it was my wish that I would do a session with you, and I'm very happy that you have invited me today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And as teachers, we have different expectations. So you can put in all your queries in the chat box. Also, at the end, we will keep 15 minutes to take all the queries that you have, all the concerns that you have, so that we can prepare something on that. And we will soon be back with you for taking that session. And this session is voluntary effort. So please be patient and respectful. Because we have all taken time out of our schedules to arrange a session. We have faced this challenge when we started off our journey with AI, and we know that is how the teacher community is also facing. So we have arranged these sessions for you. This session, as I said, will only have a general overview and approach to AI. And we can have separate sessions in the coming days for grade 6 to 8, 9 and 10, and 11 and 12. So that's how it goes in. So as I start today's session, I would be sharing my screen, and I'm sure that all of you have these documents with you. But before that, just to get an idea, all the teachers who are taking grades 6 to 8, could you please raise your hands? Like, you can use the raise hand option in Microsoft Teams. If you could raise your hand, those who are taking grade 6 to 8, so that we have an idea how many are in for grade 6 to 8. I have around 7. Okay, 8. Anyone else? Anyone else? 9. Okay, 10. Good. So I think we have a crowd of around 33 people, and out of that, 11 teachers take grade 6 to 8. That's really good to know. And yes, has someone unmuted? Yeah, Anish sir. Anish sir, I'm just putting you on the mute. All right. Now I would like to know how many teachers are there who take grade 9 and 10? If you, the ones who have raised your hand, if you take 9 and 10, you can keep it raised and the others can join in. The teachers who take 9 and 10. Oops, the number just goes up. So there are around, okay, it's still going up. So I'll just wait for another. That's all. So I have around 21 teachers who takes grade 9 to 10. Okay. And how many teachers take 11 and 12? How many teachers take 11 and 12? Those who have raised their hands, if you don't take 11 and 10, you can lower your hand. And if you take 11 and 12, you can keep it raised. So around there were 11 who took 6 and 8, 21 who took 9 and 10, and 14 teachers. My screen says there are 14 teachers who take 11 and 12. Okay, so I think we have a crowd from 9 and 10 maximum today, but it's always good to know what happens in 11th also, because we have a special person who would take and share the journey of grade 11 with you. Like you can know how to get started in case if you are planning to go ahead with AI in 11 and 12. And now finally, can we have the raise of hand? Yes, Nitya, you've raised your hand. You want to say something? Okay, that's gone down. All right. Yes, Tara ma'am, you want to say something? I can see your hands. All right. How many teachers are taking?
Nothing.
Okay. How many teachers are taking AI for the first time? Can you please raise your hand? Those who are starting their journey with AI for the first time. Okay, so I have around 18 people out of 35, 19. Okay, so I have around, okay, the hands are still going up. Okay, 20 teachers. Okay, 20 teachers out of oh, Aparna says she takes classes for artificial intelligence from 1 to 8. That's incredible. Okay, new to AI. So there are around 20 teachers who are new to AI. So we are focusing this session for those new teachers who are about to start their journey in whichever grades that you are. So the others, if you think, okay, the session is not meant for me, I already know what they're going to talk about, please feel free to leave the session. Absolutely no issues. But those of you who would like to be here and know how you can go get started with your grade, we would just guide you through. So without wasting much time, I'm just going to share my screen. Do let me know if you're able to see my screen. Yes. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet started, ma'am. Yeah, now it came. Now
Yes.
it came.
Okay, thank you. So what you see on your screen is actually the AI syllabus for grades 6, 7, and 8. It actually comes as a combined unit. And the CBSE actually focuses when you are introducing AI to these children at these grades. The CBSE just wants you to focus on, making them aware, making like, as you can see, the headings that they have given is excite, relate, purpose, possibilities, and AI ethics. Smita, as I'm taking this session, are you able to admit people? Is that allowed?
Where
I
should
would
I see,
make,
ma'am?
no, 1 second. I would just make you the presenter as well. So
Okay, okay,
maybe
fine.
that way you would be able to see. 1 second,
Yeah.
just give me a
Ah,
minute. Because otherwise I would be quite disturbed, right?
yes, ma'am. No issues.
Oh, but I don't see that option of making you the presenter. You are already a presenter, so you should be able to see the, to get you. Are you able to see people waiting? No, you're not
No,
able to
ma'am.
see.
No.
It's okay.
I'm not able to
It's
see.
okay. I think I will toggle between the screen.
Okay, okay,
So,
fine.
so what I was saying was that when you are actually taking grade 6 to 8, what you must focus or what you must understand is in grade 6 to 8, the theory is only of 15 marks and the practical is of 35 marks. Okay, the skill modules. And you would see that when you come to your grade 6 to 8, this is how they have divided the units. It's all about introduction to artificial intelligence, and they have divided each one as excite, relate, purpose, possibilities, and AI ethics. Now, before I actually go ahead with 6 to 8, Smita, you can join in your experience of teaching grade 8. I just want every teacher, whether you're taking a grade 6 AI or whether you're taking a grade 12 AI, you must understand one thing very clearly. The teaching methodology of AI is very different from computer science and IP. In computer science and IP, we are the main source of information. We teach our children the concepts. We tell them how things are there in Python, in pandas, and everything that we deal with CSNIP. And it's majority are we who teach. But when it comes to artificial intelligence, the subject itself involves a lot of research. So the units that needs to be accessed practically, specifically, in those, your children need to do a lot of research. They need to do a lot of reading on artificial intelligence, what is happening around them, what are some of the recent developments, applications, and all your assessment of practicals needs to be something that can be evaluated practical skill of the student in AI. The student needs to be deeply interested in AI. That is how, whether you are taking a grade 12 or a grade 6, that is what you need to keep a focus on. That is in your classroom. It could be like many of us take us classes in computer labs. So you could give them a topic and ask them to research about that topic. They can present those topics in small groups, and then you can present the topic. It cannot be done on a way like the teacher would take presentation of that particular topic, and from that presentation you're going to teach them. That's not going to work for you. And there are many publishers of artificial intelligence now. They are coming up. I'm not sure about grade 6 to 8, but CBSE has a handbook for grade 6 to 8, which you can actually use. CBSE has a handbook for all the grades. From 6 to 12, CBSE has a handbook. You can refer to that handbook. For grade 11 and 12, we know a lot of publishers who are into artificial intelligence, and also for grade 9 and 10. So we would be sharing the names of the publishers. We do not support any publishers. It's just out of our experience that we say that, okay, this book is quite helpful for us while we take our session. So please understand that. So in grade 8, Smita, would you like to add something to grade 6 to 8 teaching of AI?
Yes, ma'am. I started my journey with class 8 2 years back. That was very interesting for me. And the book that I referred was by Kips publication. As ma'am has already told you, we are not promoting any publishers here. Out of experience, I'm telling the Kips publication book was one of the best one. It has given, first of all, it's very colorful. Class 8 children require books which are quite colorful, quite interesting,
Is
and
it a
activities are.
problem with me, or your voice is breaking?
Is it for,
Smita,
I
your
don't know,
voice is
ma'am.
breaking. Is it my network issue? Teachers, would you let us know whether you are able to hear Smita clearly?
Am I audible
It's fine.
clearly now? Fine.
You, yeah, you're audible now, but for a while it was yes. I think they are
Okay,
able
now.
to hear you clearly. So it's
Okay,
just from
okay,
my
fine.
side.
So first of all, Kip's publication was good for me because first of all, the children also liked it because it was very colorful and the activities are very clearly given over there. And the kind of examples, the kind of questions, the fill in the blanks or even the MCQ part, what they have given, everything is very clear. So I could easily take up that. And most importantly, I did not give them initially the research part because when I started it was the pandemic year 2020. So I used to make very colorful presentations and video links and everything because one thing that I found out in AI was once they start googling about AI, they get vast amount of information which may not be relevant for their age. So what I would suggest is you curate all your videos or materials, put it in a place and then present it to the children, especially class 8, maybe 6, 7, 8, or even maybe 9 also if they're starting for the first time. So once you have that curated module for your students, then they know like how to go about, where to search for the information, which how much amount of information at that class is required because so many concepts are repeated. See, if I'm taking class 8, 9, 10, introductory part about the initial part like what is AI, the applications of AI, or maybe the SDG part, everything gets repeated. So children might get bored seeing the same topics. So it's up to the teacher to take up all the resources and then decide, okay, this particular part is appropriate for class 8. Then we go to 9, then we go to 10. 10 you have vast amount of other things to cover. So you can leave the initial part as a research based activity, or you can assign some chapters for the students to study and then present it in the class. But for class 8, I would suggest that the teacher should curate all the material or the videos or some links for some articles related to that, and then give it to the child so that they know like from where to start. Because internet, world wide web is an ocean of information. They might get confused, or they might feel that okay, theek hai, class 8 I can start writing a program. It is not going to happen, right? So that should be the thing. And this is my take on class 8. And for everything whatever you do, you can have a group activity, maybe 10 minutes group activity in the class, and then make the class more interesting for class 8. That's it from my
Yeah.
side, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's very important. The children need to be involved in the learning, and the teachers need to curate the list of resources that they can research from. As Smita said, when you go out looking out for resources for AI, there are tons and tons of resources that the children would step on. So which resource is applicable to them? Which one is relevant to them? That we must make a list, and then we can share that list with our children where they can do the research, and then you can always come back and take in the chat box. As Smita was taking the classes, I was just typing out the name of the publisher, some of the publishers that we refer to, some sites that you can refer to. Besides this, there is a lot more which can be done. From 9, 10, 11, and 12, the AI has, it's since it's a skill subject, there is the whole syllabus has been divided into two parts. Okay, now I would just roughly go to this grade 9 and 10. So if you look at the syllabus of grade 9 and 10, I hope it's visible. Smita, are you able to see the screen?
No, ma'am, 9, 10 is not, has not yet come. It is still that class 8 syllabus only on the screen. I think you have to toggle between the windows.
No, I did. Maybe it would come
Yeah,
up depending upon the
it's
speed.
come. Yeah, now it's come.
Okay. Okay, so what we need to understand is for grade 9, 10, 11, and 12, the whole of artificial intelligence syllabus is actually divided into two parts, part A and part B. So part A is actually talking about the employability skills. So for all those odd 20 teachers who are going to start your session for the first time, whichever grade that you're taking, you can start with employability skills. Now, if you look into this, the unit 1 and unit 5 has been marked as an asterisk. That means that those units are internally assessed, and the children will not get any theory questions from those units for their examination. Okay, that is unit 1, communication skills, and green skills needs to be internally assessed using a project. So for me, what I did was for green, I started off with the green skills. So I gave them a project where they are doing an awareness campaign for the school for green skills. I gave them the rubrics based on which their project would be evaluated. It was a 10 mark project that I have given them. Let me just see if I can share what, yeah. So my question was, identify a project that you can do to promote green skills in school or your community. And it could be in terms of awareness or promoting sustainable living. That was my question. And the rubrics that I gave them for this 10 marks, it's very important that when you are assessing a child on practical skills, you tell them the rubrics exactly on which you would be giving them marks. You cannot say 10 marks green skill project. You cannot say that. So mine was for idea. They have to bring their ideas, and for that idea I would be giving them 2 marks depending upon the relevance of the idea. Now, depending upon the kind of research they would do for that particular idea, another 2 mark. For implementing that project, it's 3 mark. And how the final product would come, including a very comprehensive report of the project. Now for grade 9 and 10, when I did this, sorry, for grade 11, when I did this green skills, this is there for 12th also, and 9 and 10 also, but different level, different topics that they deal with. For 9, 11, 11th, I told them that they have to do a pre-survey of green skills before they start their campaign with the school. And then after they do a survey, they have to do a post-survey. And then depending upon the survey results, they have to present to the class what is that they have done and how it has made a difference to the student or the teacher community. That was for grade 11. Now for grade 12, what I did, they are doing a project individually on a basis, and then together they're all coming together to do an SDG project on minimalistic living and sustainable development goal. And they are doing a SDG quiz for the entire school, maybe during the school assembly. The five or we have grade 5 to 12 that comes up for one assembly. So one question each for each classes, and there will be a Google form also that will be circulated in classes to do the SDG skill. So I am just giving you an idea about how you can incorporate. Smita would be talking in detail about the practical aspects of grade 11. So this is how employability skills can be tackled. Any doubts regarding whatever we have said so far? Because it's just going one way. So if there are any questions that you want to ask us at this point of time, you can unmute and you can speak to us. There is so much, so we don't know where to pick up things from and share it with you. If anyone has a doubt or anyone has any concerns so far, you could just ask us. So can I go forward? Is that a thumbs up? My God, Sunday afternoon, 3:50. I have teachers in this. Yeah, thank you, Akhil, for responding. It's very important. We keep telling our children when they are online, please respond, please speak, unmute and speak. The same thing is applicable to all of us, unless you tell us whether this is beneficial for you, whether this is exactly what you're looking for, how would we go forward? So that is for the employability skills part. Unit 1 and Unit 5 are internally assessed, whereas Unit 2, 3 and 4, which is self-management, then you have ICT and entrepreneurial skills, they are to be assessed theoretically. For grade 12 also, they will also have questions from these segments in their board exam. So these 3 units, whenever you're putting a theory exam, you can put questions from these 3 units and assess them. But the first and the last unit, you will assess only using practical approach. That was for part A. Now, when you come to part B, I will come to grade 11 a bit later because when Smita is going to take, I would come to that. I'll just want to take grade 10. Just give me a minute. Yeah, I've just shifted my screen. So once the screen comes up, if one of you can give me a thumbs up as on if you're able to see my screen where I have, shared the window of.
Yes, ma'am, it has come. It has come.
Yeah, so grade 9 and grade 10, basically, we know that AI is of theory 50 and practical 50. Again, as I said, there is part A, which is employability skills, and part B, which is subject specific skills. So in grade 9, you can actually start by showing them videos based on introduction of artificial intelligence. With this regard, there is one beautiful video which has been comprehensively made by the CBSE and Intel. Grade 9 and 10 syllabus is actually dealt by CBSE in collaboration with Intel, whereas 11 and 12 is done in collaboration with IBM. Okay, 11th and 12th syllabus is prepared, the handbook, everything is done with respect to IBM. So when you go to grade 9, the first unit you have introduction to artificial intelligence. So you along with your student are actually learning. So even if you are a teacher who do not know much about artificial intelligence, as your children are doing the research, please feel free to do the research and grow with them and learn with them. AISC, which is artificial intelligence student community, I had shared it in the chat box. They have a, do they have a teacher account now, Smita?
No,
They
ma'am,
have
not yet started.
not
Not yet
yet now, but they
started.
have
No,
a
no.
student account. They have a
Yes,
student
ma'am.
account. You
Student
can just
community is
log in
there.
as a student.
Yes.
They have different modules based on artificial intelligence, or the inaugural session videos, which is a very interactive videos which you can actually use in your classroom while you're introducing artificial intelligence. You can use that. And then AI project cycle. Now see, grade 9 and grade 10, this AI project cycle is linked. So whatever you take in grade 9, AI projects life cycle, the same thing you do in 10. And when they come to grade 12, they actually develop a major capstone project, which is actually coming from the base that they have learned in 9 and 10. So what about the children who have not taken AI in 9 and 10? It's not a problem. When they go to grade 11, when they come to grade 12, again, the project life cycle is discussed, and they are taken through that entire process of project life cycle. Then there is this topic called neural network that is introduced in grade 9. Again, you have a handbook which you can refer to, and you have resources in the handbook. There are links. If you take the soft copy of the handbook, you can actually click on those links and it will take you to the respective resources. And also neural networks, it's a widely available topic, but again, according to your student standard, you'll have to bring it down where they can understand, because the neural network they talk in grade 9, they also talk in 10, and we also talk about neural networks in 11. So there is a difference in the level in which you're going to tell these children about neural networks in all these classes. We even talk about computer vision and machine learning and neural networks in 6, 7 and 8. So the levels of teaching in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 should be according to a child's capacity. And then it is about Python. So all of us are computer science IP teacher. I don't have to tell you about it. So you can just introduce the Python to that. And in the practical, we will be having a separate session for practical because we are not able to deal with all of this together in today's session. Again, in grade 10, if I go back to grade 10, you have part A as employability skills and part B is your subject specific skills. Now, part B is again introduction to artificial intelligence. It's again talking about AI project lifecycle and natural language processing. There it was neural network. Here it is natural NLP. And then another unit of evaluation. Then practical work can be actually based on the concept of data science, computer vision, and advanced Python. Now, please understand CBSE has also come up with a new curriculum for data science. So those of you who wish to, gain some insights about that particular topic, it's a beautiful handbook for data science, coding, design thinking, and for digital citizenship. So when I'm talking about digital citizenship, I would like to let everybody know that Smita had won that competition of this digital citizenship. It was an all India competition. So 3 teachers were shortlisted and they were the winners of the competition for digital citizenship for educators. And Smita was one of the winner of, and she is right now in the process of working with the team in closely developing the curriculum and how to implement it in classrooms. So we'll have more of that coming up later. But this is how you need to go about AI in grade 9 and 10. And again, you will have a practical work, you will have a lot of projects, the students can make portfolios if they want to. So those are some of the things in grade 6 to 8 and 9 and 10. Coming back to your grade 11, because I would like to hand over the session to Smita shortly. This is how the grade 11 AI syllabus looks like. Again, you have an employability skills, out of which unit 1 and unit 5 are assessed practically, and unit 2, 3, 4 are assessed theoretically. You will have questions coming from them. Then if you look at this unit 1, unit 2, 4, 5 and 9 are actually only assessed theoretically. You are not going to assess the children based on this particular topic in practical, and there are separate units for which you need to assess your children in practicals. So they are maths for AI, creative and critical thinking, data analysis, regression, and AI values. So I think maths for AI, data analysis, and regression has a little bit of mathematics and concept of matrices and regression and all that coming in here. So based on that, your children can be given different practical works. And then for your exams, you can have a practical examination and a Viva voice, which is of 40 marks. So this is how the distribution for grade 11 syllabus goes through. Grade 12 is actually very, very comprehensive in terms of in grade 12, there is this one main project that they do, which is known as the capstone project. So there are these 2 units the teachers would take for the students, which is model life cycle and storytelling through data. And And once the unit 2 and unit 3 are done, along with this, the students start working on a capstone project. Now, grade 12 itself is one comprehensive thing where they have a project logbook which they need to maintain. They have to identify a project. They have to do a lot of teamwork. A lot of research needs to be done in grade 12. So grade 12 syllabus, there isn't much of a theoretical teaching happening, but there's a lot of research and work that is happening in grade 12. So so these are some of the things that we actually wanted to share with you as far as grade 11 AI and the rest of the classes AI is concerned. We would be having around 20 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes of session where you can unmute yourself and talk to us regarding what exactly would you like to know. So maybe at that time we would be attending to your questions. So I think, Smita, you can take up your session of grade 11 practicals. So many teachers who are starting their journey with grade 11 AI would be benefited from your journey of taking AI in grade 11, and what were some of the practical things that you did with them.
Yes.
Meanwhile, while Smita is taking classes, you have any query, please feel free to put it in the chat box. We have around 49, so -247 participants with us today. Yeah, over to you, Smita.
Okay. 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 Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll be sharing my screen. So just give me a moment. Is my screen visible to all of you? It's coming?
Yes.
Okay,
It is
okay.
coming.
Thank you so much. First of all, Shibi ma'am has already introduced me, but I would like to introduce myself. My name is Smita Ratraya. I'm a computer science and AI teacher from Delhi Public School, Rourkela. Those who do not know where Rourkela is, it is in the state of Odisha. We live in a steel city, and I'm a global master trainer for All India Educators Forum. And recently I have certified Google for Education certified educator level 1 and level 2. I have applied for GCT also. Hope so I'm going to get one and conduct more sessions for you. And as ma'am has already told you, these are the topics that would be covered in class 11. Since last year I started with 11, I have got more knowledge on this. So I'm going to share whatever I did and whatever experiences I had, and how you can also implement this one, or you can put your ideas to make it much better interesting for your students. Now these are the theory, these are the topics. Out of these topics, now these are the units where the practical work has to be done. AI applications, storytelling, critical and creative thinking, data analysis, and AI values. So what I did was, last year, as we all know, it was a pandemic year, again 2021, and our session in our school started late also because of the board results and so many things. So not much time was there, and it was like on and off going on. Sometimes we used to have online class, sometimes offline. So I had to adjust my way of approach to the subject for the first time in this particular scenario. So keeping that in mind, and the thing that helped me a lot was Google, obviously, Google Slides and Google Docs and Google Sheets and everything. So what I did was, and this is the communication skill, what I did was for the practical record part, since it's very difficult for the children every time to come to school. Like 1 week they used to come, again there used to be a notice that no, schools are going online now, no offline classes. So what I did for the first time was, I told them to prepare a Google Doc and then start recording all the things, whatever we are learning in the class, maybe online class or offline class, in their Google Doc. And then I created a Google Sheet. Let me click on the link and show it to you what I did. So I created this Google Sheet. These are my real students. Okay, so I was taking two sections, 11A and 11B. These are the names of the students. I shared this Google Sheet with all of them. Then the Google Doc which they were preparing for the practical record, those links I told them to paste it over here. Okay, so any changes made over there, it was with me. Let me share you one of my students practical record, what we did and how we went about. So this is the practical record of my student. I'm just going to click over here. Okay, so the first thing that I told them, since we don't have any writing part, so I told them to type normal practical record. We maintain like this. So subject, the subject code, name of the student, class, section, session, and teacher signature. So in future, print out if it is required, I can do that. Then I prepared a table of contents wherein the serial number and the topic name, the page number, and the date was mentioned. So I started the introduction. Since I'll give you a background of my students in my school, we introduced AI for the first time for class 11 in our school. So the children who passed class 10 came from CBSE as well as ICSE background, and they did not have any AI background. So I started off with AI for all. I think most of you know about this particular campaign which has been launched by the government of India for making people AI aware and appreciate AI for all age groups. So I told them to do this particular concept or do this particular course. It's just a 3 or 4 hour course, and I told them to paste the certificates that they got over here. So the first thing that they put in the record was AI for all certificate. And as we scroll down, we can see that they completed this one. Then I told them to put the badges also. They'll feel proud, like we are the badge holders of this one. And then we started with the next one, which is AI for oceans. I think this is the first, what to say, after knowing about AI for all, they'll get a bit idea about what is AI, some idea about supervised learning, unsupervised learning. So then I took them to the journey of AI for oceans, where again they did all those activities where they were training the bot to recognize the fish, to remove the garbage. There were two things that was involved in AI for oceans. One is the concept of AI, and obviously the goal of SDG goal, that is life below water. That concept also was touched over here. So I took up this one, I gave them a background, and in the practical class, whenever they came to school, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, so I told them to sit in the lab and do it. For those students, because that time coming to school was not compulsory, as we all know that. So few children, they did it at home also, and they wrote all these things on their own. I said, you go through the concept, you do by yourself and note down whatever you like. Don't just copy and paste, because copy and paste, if they do, then we are teaching them about plagiarism also. So I wanted to teach them that you are not going to copy and paste, you are going to understand the concept, write it in whichever way you want. I'm not bothered about English grammatical. Future children are like quite conscious, you know, that their grammar may not be correct. I said, don't worry, you type whatever you want, but you should know, be able to understand the concept. So then they pasted that certificate, screenshots of that AI for ocean and the certificate of completion. So again,
Smita,
there was a, yes ma'am.
one second. Okay, there was somebody who had raised the hand, so I thought she wanted to ask you
Okay,
something. It's okay.
okay.
Carry on. Carry.
Okay. So we pasted the certificate. Then the next topic that I took was, now we went to supervised and reinforcement learning and activity through artboard. Now, so I was teaching the theory about what is AI, history of AI, everything got over. So we know about supervised and unsupervised learning. The next activity which we did was artboard. So about this artboard, the information was given to me during the IBM training when I was selected. The first round of 200 teachers who got selected in India, I was one of them. So in that training, they taught us about this artboard. So I applied the same thing in the school also. They were very happy training this artboard and classifying about painting, sculpture, and how the bot was recognizing it. A game is also involved over there. So all the screenshots, whatever they did, they used to paste it in this Google Doc. So as and when we were doing this activity, the next one came was neural network concept through quick draw. So now we have neural network concept again in the theory portion of your textbook. So we did that, and they did quick draw also. They did this activity, pasted the screenshot. Coming to the next one, now the second or third concept, the most important one is your AI domains, where you introduce them about data, about NLP, about CV. So I told them I had given around 10 concepts about AI for AI domain data, and I told them to pick any two. So most of the children picked up tic-tac-toe and rock, paper, scissors. They played, and then they wrote about it. So you can see the child only has written. I have not dictated any of these answers. Each of them they wrote on their own, and they pasted the screenshots while playing it also. This was rock, paper, scissors. And then computer vision again. So here the child has done about teachable snake and emoji scavenger hunt. I told them because emoji scavenger hunt cannot be done in the school. They require mobiles to be used over there. So they did it at home and they experienced it. Main important, and they told them the teachable machine is not working now. So that also information I gave them. Then after this we went to the next concept, which is our NLP. So as I scroll down, you can see now comes about CV, shadow art also, very interesting activity they did. So they did it at home only, not in the school because of webcam, and so many issues are there because our labs are not quite equipped to handle these kind of what to say facilities. So they did it at home. Next comes NLP, where they did about Semantis and Lewis. So this was done in the school only. They wrote about it and they pasted all the screenshots of whatever they have done. Next, after this, I went and took them to the next one, that is teachable machine activity. Now they have it was already 1 or 2 months, they knew everything about it. In the teachable machine activity, I prepared a video of how to use this particular teachable machine, image project, audio project, and the post project. I made a video and I shared it with the students, and I told them, you see this video and try to do it by yourself. And I gave them so many ideas. I said, you implement your ideas. It may be about mask, no mask, because that time that was the main thing, about mask and no mask thing. So they did many other things. So this child has done about to identify scissors, mask, spectacles, book, and Malala, and clock. So each of them, they had their own ideas, and I told them that you finish the project and paste the link of the teachable machine over here so that I could evaluate them as and when they finish. So with Google Docs and Google Sheets, the main advantage is that it is happening as they are doing at home. I can see it here also. Even though we are not sitting in the same place, I said, okay, this 1 hour you are going to have the practical time. So do it at home. I'll be able to see it over here. So instant monitoring, constant feedback, constant hand holding, constant guiding them help me to design this particular what to say practical record in a very effective way. So then they did audio project, post project, and pasted all the links over here. Then the chatbot, I could not teach them how to prepare a chatbot because of the time constraints. So I introduced them to Cookie and Eva. So they tried it out at school and even at home also, and the screenshots were pasted. Next came the CV Pixelate activity. This was done in the school, and again I taught them how to do it, and all the screenshots were pasted over here. This they really enjoyed. They could understand the concept of the Pixelate activity over here. Now moral machine is very important because we are teaching about AI bias, and this moral machine activity also helped them to understand many such things. Then we have the man, cabbage, goat, wolf problem. This is about ANN. I introduced the concept in the school, just gave them idea, gave the link, and I told them you play it, and then you place the screenshot. After this, then it was AI bias, where we talk about the survival of the best fit. They played this game, they understood the concept of this one, and they were able to paste. Now comes the most important thing, that is mathematics for AI. So by the time I came to this chapter, that time school was, we used to have offline classes. Maybe I got continuously 15 days offline class. So I made sure that all of them prepared all these things in the classroom itself. I used to give them a demo. They used to sit and they used to do in Excel. Then after doing it in Excel, I told them to upload it in the Google Drive and then paste the screenshots and the Google Sheet link, everything. All the links are there with me now. Any changes they make over there, I'm able to see over here. So we did bar graph, all this data I gave them, I told you plotted. I taught them how to make it more colorful, make it more presentable, because at this point of time, I wanted them to know about data storytelling also. So carrying the right information at the right point of time and using the proper color combination also had a great impact. So this student has done wonderfully. So we did histogram, and we did about scatter plot, where ice cream sold versus number of hours of sunshine, and even the plots were ready. Then I started with the linear regression. Again, we did it in the class only, like in the school, where the Excel sheet was used, and I used to give them the questions and I taught them live. Okay, live in the sense I used to demonstrate in the projector, and they used to do with the plot, and all the questions were written. This is how I did actually. The data was written and all these formulas were given. The questions were written over here. The explanation was given. Everything was done very, very systematically, and the children were able to understand thoroughly. And I went step by step. I gave them the formula for the numerator, denominator, how to calculate the slope, how to calculate the intercept. I did not tell them to use the Excel formula because they'll be not be able to understand to how to frame a mathematical expression into a Excel formula. So that I can take them to Python level also. So I told them to write the formula with the proper parenthesis, division symbol, multiplication, then so that they can understand about the priority of the operators, precedence of operators. So it was done systematically and step by step. So again, height and weight problem was taken, and then it was solved, and the scatter plot was plotted, and the strength of the correlation was written, and the value was calculated, and we were able to understand what it actually means. So in this way, hours and production, so many, I took around 4 or 5 examples. By the time I finished this, they were able to understand. Once I finished this one, I took a small practical exam, gave one more question. It was an informal one, but I told them it's an examination. I'll see how much you have understood. So they did everything on their own so that I could understand, yes, each and every child is able to do. So that was possible because all the other 5 questions was done by me, and along with me they did it. So I treated them as a small children only. I did not tell that, ha, theek hai, tum kar lena. I did not do that. First 4-5 questions was done together, and the last one was given as a test. So it was like a practical exam only, so that I could know that each and every child is able to do, and how they are interpreting the results also. They should be able to write the answers properly, what it means. Say for example, in this case, the direction of the correlation is towards the right side, which means it is positive. So they know what exactly the answer is and how to interpret and write it properly in the required format. So this was about. Then coming to the employability skills. So what I did was, I took some very brief topics from class 9 and 10 textbook, and I prepared Google slides, and I gave them introduction about communication skills, self-management. It was just a 40-minute session. Then I divided the class into different groups, and each group was told to choose any topic and then present it to the class. So that time when this was done, again online class was going on. So we had a online class. So children used to present with their PPT. For example, I'll show you what this team has done. So if I can click and show you the PPT, what they have done. This team has selected, I'll show you who were the students. So they chose non-verbal communication, and there were 2 students, Samparna and Simran. So they took up this concept about all these things, and they explained all these things to the students in thoroughly, and the question answer session was done. And I did the peer assessment also using Mentimeter as well as Slido. I showed them that, okay, if you are doing this, you may think it is very good, but in what way you are good, in what way you have to improve. So these kind of presentations were taken up by the students, and they taught the other students in detail, because I went very briefly. I told them, you go in detail about what actually it means. Similarly, for self-management skills. So if I can show you this one, beautifully prepared slides presentation. I taught them to use how to use Google Slides and everything. I just did not force them to learn on their own, but creativity is there. But I taught them how to use the Google Slides. So this was goal setting team 9, and these were the students. Every time I used to change the group also. Why I did this? Because I wanted to know who is compatible with whom, and what are their plus and minus. Like some students are very good in presentation, some students are very good in oral communication, some students are very good in designing. The basic objective of doing this was, in class 12, as Shibi ma'am has already told, we have a capstone project. So there we need a designer, we need a video editing person, we need a presenter, we need a good communicator, we need a person who can think, who has got problem solving skills. So I wanted to take out that particular skill from each and every child. So I made different groups, and for preparing groups also, I had my own strategies, so that I can share it later also. So these were the students who did this goal setting, and they explained all these things. And one more thing that I did was, after these presentations got over, I told the students to prepare at least 5 to 10 questions in the Google form or any other platform, and then ask the questions to the students. Same thing I am doing for class 12 also. Like, it is for the students, by the students, and to the students. Like, they teach, I gave them an introduction. Okay, they are going to go in deep, and then they were asking questions. So I now because I did this one, I have got around 10 to 12 teams. Now I have got a repository of questions for each and every chapter, because each group, if they prepare 10 to 15 questions, so you can imagine that 15 teams or 10 teams, maybe if you have 10 teams, 150 questions will be ready for you, and that you can circulate or you can do as part of revision before the examination. So for ICT skills, what I did, I got a new idea for this one. As I was going through the employability skills textbook, in the exercise part, you might have seen that it says that pick 5 students, make them one as the leader, teach them how to do that, and then they will guide the other students. That's what they have given. So what I did was, I went to the class and I asked who wants to become student mentors. Around 4 or 5 children, they raised their hands and they told, yes ma'am, we want to become student mentors. So I called them over a Zoom meeting. I taught them all the practical work related to ICT skills of 11. There we have MS Word, and in 12 we have MS Excel. So MS Word, what all things are required, whatever things are required according to the textbook, I taught them. Then next class, whenever practical class was there, I told them, now I am not your teacher. We have 4 new teachers in your class, and they are going to tell you what to do with the ICT skills. And you will not believe, they were so happy, they were so thrilled with the new teacher coming up and helping them. And they made, you will not believe, within 2 periods, the entire ICT skill record was ready. Let me show it you how they did. This particular Google Doc is also ready. They did it in MS Word, then they transferred it into the Google Drive. So now I have got the Google Doc here. So here all the screen, the first question that I gave them, take a screenshot of the first screen, label the parts. So here labeling of the parts are done. Next one, create a MS file, a Word file, and type a paragraph related to any topic. So they wrote about whatever they wanted. Then the next question, so I gave them around 15 questions. I have taught all these things to the student mentors, and they took over the class within 2 periods. You will not believe, all my 67 students ICT skill activity was successfully done. So this was a new thing that I did, and they were able to, and they were thrilled because they were teaching and I was sitting and I was observing them, I was guiding them, and I was motivating them. I gave them some chocolates for the student mentors so that they'll be thrilled becoming teachers. And you will not believe, 5 more students, they raised their hand, ma'am, we will be the student mentors for class 12. So that is how I took up the journey. Similarly for green skills also. So this is how I did it. And for just a minute, let me share it to you. Now this is about the Google Docs, where I showed you about the practical work which I did. For data storytelling activity, again, I taught them the entire concept. I have prepared my own slides. I taught them the entire concept of data storytelling, and I told them some stories also. I have written 2-3 stories using Storyweaver. I taught them that. Then what I did was, again, a collaborative work. This is a data storytelling activity by my students, and what we did was, I pasted some, see, I gave them all the instructions over here. As Shibi ma'am has told, we have to guide them, we have to tell them on what basis we are going to evaluate them or give some grades or give some motivation for them. Then I told them to put some screenshots of the good data stories that they have learnt in the class. And you will not believe, so many good ideas I have got. Just see here, they have put some very good data stories with their names and everything. So each of them, and now I have got again a repository of all these good data stories. I can use this as a revision in class 12 also. It is, and I told them that class 11 and 12, it's a continuous journey. We are not going to stop like in physics and chemistry and maths. The chapters are totally different, but AI is not. It is a journey that we are taking, and we have to collect all this information. And you never know, one of this question might come in your board examinations also. And these students have done on their own. They have collected the information and they have pasted over here. These are the data stories that they have put, and we have got lot of data stories, and I can use them for my, maybe for a pre-board exam, for a test or something like that. So this is about the data storytelling part. And coming back to the next one, what I did for design thinking. So as we all know, design thinking has got 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Before teaching this chapter, I showed them one important video, a very interesting video which I found out, and that carried a very big one. and you will not believe this was done. All of you will be astonished that I'm going to show you a Bahubali song or something like that. It is not so. I'm just going to play the video. Maybe the audio might not come. I'm just going to play the video, then I'll tell you the background of this particular video. Okay, so the basic idea of showing this particular video was, in this video we can see all the steps of design thinking. Empathize is there. The person in the picture is empathizing with the people that they are having lot of problem in breaking the stones. Then he defines the problem, he has an idea to think about, and he does a prototype. As you can see, he's using all the mathematical instruments, he develops a model, and then he tests it, and then he implements it. So this particular song is quite famous, but something is hidden over there. So I tried to extract from that. I showed this video. Then I went into the concept of design thinking. Then I have two more videos. This particular video is going to tell everything about design thinking. Okay, just a minute. Advertisement is coming. I can share the video link with all of you. It is talking about design thinking in 90 seconds. Very, very informative video which is going to tell you about design thinking. So my students had a clear idea. Next, one more important video. I think you'll all be astonished why I'm showing Alia Bhatt now. So Alia unfolds this particular video. Okay, I'm just going to pause because of time constraints. I can share this video also. Why I showed this video? Because in this particular Alia Bhatt Samsung video, it talks about design thinking. It talks about SDG also. And in design thinking, all the steps are clearly shown over there. You may not be initially seeing that when you see for the first time, but if you see the video for 2-3 times, you will understand that it has got empathize, it has got define, it has got ideate, prototype, and finally testing. So these 2-3 videos really helped me to get the students thinking about that. And after that, what we did was, we collected few examples of this design thinking. Now, collectively, we did this particular thing in the practical class only. Examples we collectively found out during the teaching learning process. So I told them that the entire chapter was taught, and I told them you find some material related to design thinking. So they gave me this particular links about toothbrush, about bags, and you will not believe that these are very good articles related to design thinking. I'll just click one and I'm going to show it to you now. So this particular article is about brushing away the problem, the gripper. Okay. So if you scroll down, they are talking about what is the product or service, who is responsible for creating it, and then you have various designs. Designing is very important part of designing thinking. And then is when was it first made available? So you can see some pictures, quick history of toothbrush timeline. Again, when you talk about these images, it can be an example of data storytelling also, and evolution of toothbrush. See, a timeline is there. So this particular article is the gripper, why toothbrushes for kids are fat. So many issues are there. Ideation phase, see how it went about. So in what ways it relates to the reading this week. So it has inspiration phase, ideation phase, implementation phase, and so many concepts of design thinking are covered. So the next link that I can show you is about design thinking in bags. So there is one article with the children has found out. We collectively found out. It was an open class, so we were able to do it. See how design thinking redefined the ladies' bag. So an article is there. So if you just go down, scroll down this one, you'll get some images related to this. It is just popping up. You can see a video. Design thinking has there, especially for ladies, what kind of bags they have. It has got a tiffin bag where you can carry one extra pair of shoes or something. your basic necessities, all these things. So this is an example of design thinking. So in this way, the students were able to find very good interesting things like airplanes with disability, for people with disability, standing wheelchair. All these things in class 11 has set a foundation for the students for to take up capstone project, because in many of the cases I have touched upon SDG, which is very, very important for the students to know, and design thinking process. And then class 12, I have already taught them about model life cycle. Maybe when the school is going to reopen tomorrow, I'm going to start with the data storytelling part. That is also a little bit over. I'm going to take up the capstone project, the ideas and everything that is behind it. And it is a, as I told you, it's a journey for me as well as the students to know all these things. So that's it from my side. I think I have given my journey and it was very exciting. And I would also like to thank IBM for giving me the opportunity to know about AI, and also Meenu ma'am and few other teachers of our IBM community who gave some ideas to take up these topics and make it more interesting for the students.
I think that was simply amazing, Smita. I am quite, I feel that there's so much of sincerity and dedication and a disciplined, systematic approach in which you did. And I am sure all the teachers who are present here today, for those of us who are taking grade 11, are carrying back a lot of wonderful ideas that we can implement in classrooms and the way it can be implemented in classrooms. So I think now we would leave the forum open to all the participants. You can type in your questions in the chat box, or you can even ask questions. How to get IBM workshops. IBM workshops are actually designed from time to time, and they send across the information via CBSE. So whenever their IBM workshops are open, you can actually register from your school site, and in batches they take the session. So that way, I think Tanu, then you would be able to attend to IBM workshops. IBM workshops are basically for grade 11 and 12, and 9 and 10, Intel is the one that takes initiative for conducting workshops. Besides all of these, there are tons of online courses where you can actually go and learn a lot about this. In class 12, do we have to prepare a record and a logbook for practical exam? Your project logbook is the practical record, if I'm right. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Smita?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. We can do that also. And if it is possible, we can go for a simple record where if some Python programs are used in their project, they can just note down of what they have done, so that at least some writing part will be there.
Yeah, the practical record would be a smaller part in grade 12, and the project logbook is the one that consumes the entire grade 12 content. Meenu ma'am has joined us, and I think you have joined us in the right time, because we are right now open to all questions and queries. And she is she is one of the few teachers who had taken up AI in the first year it was offered. So there is so much we learn from her. Meenu ma'am, good afternoon. Good evening. Afternoon is
Good
over.
evening,
Good
Shibi.
evening.
I'm so sorry. I wasn't at home. So as soon as I just reached home, I joined. I'm so
Not a
sorry
Thank
I
you,
missed
ma'am.
this
Thank you.
session.
Remembering
Not
you,
a
remembering
problem.
you.
Smita did a wonderful session on grade 11 AI practicals, and I just roughly, rushed them through the grade 6 to 8, 9 and 10 and 11 AI. I think the teachers can please ask the question, because if you ask questions, it will be easier for us to respond to your queries rather than ma'am, any ideas for teaching AI for grade 1 to 8 children, and which type of Python program should be are
Ma'am,
those
1 to 8 Python program is not required. You can
not
just
there?
introduce the concept, make them
Yes.
play some games or show some videos for them. 1 to 8, you can just start telling them about computers, the parts of the computer, as we start with the normal subject in computer science, parts of the computer, how it works, input
I
devices and
think,
everything. Just
Smita, I
introduce the
think that
concept.
question was from Tushara regarding the
Okay.
Python program, and she was talking about, I think, the senior classes, 9,
Senior
10. I
classes,
think,
yeah.
Tushara, is that you want to know about grade 9 and 10?
No, ma'am, for 12th standard.
Yes,
For
ma'am, you can
12th
take
standard.
up, yes, ma'am, you can take up Python if your students are ready to take up the coding part. But I think most of the students would be, because most of the science students who would have taken AI would like to go for engineering. So it's always better to dedicate some time for Python coding also. Just teach them some basics. And if any group is interested to take up any project related to say face recognition or regression using Python code, you can just brief them up, and you can do that also. That would be very interesting for them.
Yeah, Nitya, there are plenty of small AI projects available in the internet for the beginners. Maybe you can do a bit of research on that and then decide which projects can give your children an idea. It's always better for them to do something of their own, like making a small project of their own, which is based on the concept of AI, like small chatbots or things like that can be made even for grade 9 and 10, 11 and 12, obviously they can make it. Yeah, teach design thinking. Tanu, there is a separate curriculum by CBSE for design thinking that will give you plenty of ideas on how to take design thinking for classes 6 to 8. There is a curriculum designed for design thinking. So maybe you can refer to that. I'll post the link if you want. What about 9 to
Shibi,
10?
I like to add to this for class 12 project. If you want to give them some demo projects, you want to give some demonstration to your students, you can go to MIT App Inventor. They have an AI section there, and the projects are lovely. I have taken this time with my students, and I showed them 2-3 projects. We did it in class also, so it was a lovely exercise, and students enjoyed it thoroughly. So you could take that up and show them these are your projects, and you could then they come up with ideas, because by that time then they get exposed and then they have some ideas in their minds. So then they start coming up with ideas on their own. So you could do that also as a
Yeah,
starting point.
yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
yeah, Meenu ma'am was referring to MIT app. So if you're hearing it for the first time, I've just typed it out in the chat box. You can just pick it up from there and search for it. My students are also preparing project using. Yes, very good. So Vidya had asked, what about 9 and 10 Python? Vidya, would you be able to unmute yourself and ask? Are you saying that what kind of programs can go in? Are you talking about that? You want to ask that? In grade 9 and 10, where you're introducing Python to them, simple Python programs based on, simple calculator or calculating simple interest, or, simple Python basic programs can be done for grade 9 and 10 AI students. 9 and 10 AI students taking up Python in grade 9 and 10, if they are not computer science. Well, many children have taken AI with computer science in my school. So for them, it's very easy. But for those of your children who have not taken computer science and Python, and they are learning it for the first time, you can introduce them to small basic programs based on Python. Yes. I hope we have answered the questions that were put up in the chat box. Any more questions or any more concerns? I can see around 39 people. Yeah, we started off with 50 and now it's 39. So yes, any questions that you have for us? Uh, yes, what exactly would you like to know about, Judy ma'am? Tanu, I would try to send the recording. I've done this first time in the Teams. There was a small issue with my Teams account, so I would see if I can get the recording. I would definitely share it with all of you. There are a few others who also wanted that. Judy ma'am, I was just checking what kind of a help would you require for grade 12?
Yeah, good evening, Shibi ma'am, and all
Good
others here. I was just asking about the practical and the project works that we are supposed to give for the 12th standard students this year, because 12th standard would be having the external exam, and an external examiner would be coming in to look at the works of the students. So it would be apt only if we give them a good job over there, and only then our students' work would be recognized somewhere, like somewhat at least, by the examiner. So shouldn't it be to the level? So some ideas.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
I would suggest that it's not about big or small. It's only about like starting off, igniting their minds. It may be a framework also. It may not be a real working model or a
project.
real working project.
Yes.
It can be just
Yes.
an idea which can be taken up later, because as and when we have attended many programs of the training by IBM, they always stress that you just tell them, ignite their minds. It's not necessary that everybody will be coding, developing big programs and showing it to the examiner. It's not that. They can, it can be a abstract also which can be developed later, so that can be done. But yes, if it is possible for you to guide them to take up big projects, yes, obviously you can go for. Even I am trying now, I am going to take 12 for the first time, so I am trying to pick up some programs, because once they start coding, they'll get that feeling. So I have started with the coding part, and if I am successful in one or two projects that I have taken, I'm going to surely share it with all of you. And it may be related to any SDG issue or something like that. We can correlate those two concepts, and with the coding part, with the what to say, SDG part, it would be a great idea. It's not necessary that they have to make something very big. It may be very small also. It may be small, but the idea is to ignite their minds to take up those things in future. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Smita, for saying that. I
Maybe
completely
can I just
agree with
add
what
on to
Smita
it?
said.
Sorry.
Yes, yes, please,
Since
Meenu ma'am.
since I had the viva also for my students of class 12 this year, so there's one thing I would like to say, Judy ma'am. You start with a very small project, because even I was doing class 12 for the first time. So I started with a simple chatbot on IBM, and then obviously as my students and I myself got the confidence, we started increasing the details of the chatbot, the dialogue flow and everything, and we got it to a good level. And then of course the examiner came, and since I had only two students, so he sat down with them and he went through the entire chatbot. Then he asked them basic questions. It wasn't a very tough viva, but it was very basic. So you start with a small thing, and then of course as you gain confidence, your students will also gain confidence. Then you can go on increasing. There are no marks deducted if the chatbot is a simple one. Ours was a simple one. We did not include any Python programming. It was an IBM Watson. So just start with a simple one. If the student is able to explain everything well, because the student has done the project himself or herself, so they are able to explain everything well, the examiner is also satisfied.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank you,
much. Thank
madam.
you so
Thank you,
much.
madam. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And
Thank
what
you.
about
Thank
the practical record works, madam? What are we supposed to give them as the practical record work?
Practical
The
record
record
is
work.
not there, ma'am. Only that IBM logbook, student logbook has to
Logbook,
be
yeah,
maintained. That
yeah.
itself is a comprehensive one, that it's going to take a lot of time for the children to type and keep everything ready in a systematic way. Because you never be, last year Meenu ma'am was taking, it was online, offline. This year hopefully we'll have offline classes only. We'll be able to gather all the students. But if something happens, better to keep a backup also. As I told you, Google Docs, sharing, collaboration, use all these particular things, that even if they come to school, they'll be able to open their Google Doc. If they are at home, they'll be able to do it. So those kind of innovative methods you have to design yourself, so that your work is not stagnant at any point of time.
Right. And as we said in the in the beginning of the session, uh, AI needs a different approach for different classes. So we would not be able to cover everything in this first session. I can see teachers asking separate session for 9 and 10. We will try to do that. For 11, we will do a separate session. For grade 12 also, we would do a separate session. And for grade 6 and 8 also, we would try to do a separate session. The thing is that, we are all working, and at school it gets quite hectic for all of us, and then we are not able to find time. So Sundays are the only time from the family time we we take a bit of time, and we try to do it for all the teachers community. So we will definitely keep in mind the journey that all of us are taking together. Judy ma'am, do you have access to the project logbook of grade 12? You already have it with you?
No, nothing, madam. I
Okay.
don't have any
Okay.
access.
Okay, so when we, you can keep in touch, and, I would share the project logbook and the project guide, which is required to do grade 12, project completion of the project. And as we go ahead, we will try to have more session. And yes, if I think
Thank you so much, Shibin ma'am. Thank you
it's a
so much.
pleasure. It's a pleasure. So I
Ma'am,
think I would,
Shibi ma'am,
yes,
just a
yes,
minute.
Smita.
Tanu ma'am has written that I need to share a link. I'm not getting her. Can you unmute yourself and speak to me, ma'am? Tanu ma'am.
Tanu, thank you, Jayalakshmi ma'am. Uh, I think she's not able. I think she is in the AI teacher community. Okay, for all of
Okay.
those teachers who have joined us today, I would just like to share with you that we have a separate. It's right now in the form of the WhatsApp group that's called an AI teacher community, where we only talk about artificial intelligence and we talk about our challenges, we talk about our experiences, we organize workshops for the teacher, by the teacher, to the teacher, as Smita said.
Yes, yes.
It's all done there. So for those of you who would be interested in joining, the thing is that you will have to keep the group clutter free and follow the rules of the group. You'll have to respect people in the group because we're all computer science teacher. We get a lot of content related to IP computer science that would not be, accepted in that forum. But yes, you would come to know in due course of time if there are workshops that are being arranged and everything. So those teachers who have attending the session this right now, if you're interested in joining the AI teacher community, just send me a message and I would be able to add you to that particular group. Now, if there are no more questions for us to take, are there any more questions that you would like to take?
Tanu ma'am, you
Uh,
can contact me in the WhatsApp group. She has written that
yeah,
she has
she's
got some
there in
audio
that.
problem. Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
can
she's there in
contact me
that.
personally, ma'am.
Okay. So let me see if I can open my WhatsApp web and share the AI teacher community group. Uh, if not, Nitya, which group are you right now? No. Okay, Lakshmi ma'am and Nitya. Nitya, I think you're. Do we have two Nityas here? Because one Nitya is part of AI teacher community. So I think this is another one. Anyway, I would just try to share the AI teacher community group link both in the PGT with Arun sir's permission, because that's the group that is actually governed by him. So I don't want to violate any group rules. And for AIT, the others who have my number, I would share my number with you. You could just send me a message in this. Okay, you can add this number and send me a message to this number if you are want to be a part of AI teacher community. And then I would be able to save your number and add you to that group. Yes, so thank you so much, Smita, for
Welcome,
sparing
ma'am.
this almost 1.5 hours today out of
Yes.
your, Sunday family time. And thank you, Minu ma'am, for that last minute joining and giving insights to these teachers about how AI can be actually a very good experience for teachers also in terms of learning and growing. So, and I want to thank all the teachers who have joined us today, who have asked us questions. Please don't give me your numbers in the chat box. I'm not able to save it. You can save my number and send me a message so that I can save it and I can share, add you to the WhatsApp group of AI teacher community. So I think that's it for today. Till the time we see you all again with the next session based on a particular topic. This was a general session, but next session would be specific for a class. So depending upon which grade you're teaching, you can join us there. Thank you, Smita. So I think that's it for the day. And thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Shruti ma'am, for the opportunity, and I would love to share my ideas and help anybody. Okay, share the knowledge with whatever
It's
little knowledge I have.
always, yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you, Smita, because you're such a lifelong learner, and there is so much I learn when I actually sit through your sessions. I get to understand, oh my God, there's so much more that can be done and in so much different ways. So it's always a pleasure to learn from you and
Thank you
to
so
grow
much,
with
ma'am.
you. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you, everyone. We will see you soon with another session as soon as possible. That's all I can say for now. So keep in touch with us and let us know how you found the session. Any feedback you want, you can give us your feedbacks. Also, I don't have a feedback form. I didn't get the time to create anything as such. So in the groups that you are part of, in which I am also there, you can put your feedbacks there. So we would be taking it from there. So thank you once again and have a good Sunday evening with your family. Relax, rejuvenate, and get back to a powerful Monday and a powerful week. So thank you, everyone.